I was born in South Bend, so I've lived here almost all of my life other than college and a year in Indianapolis. I went to St. Joseph High School. I attended Miami University in International Studies and French major. I am married and I have 3 sons, 2 in college and 1 in high school. And I am currently the president of the Friends of the Snite Museum Board. And let's see, and I've been a member of the Junior League for 22 years, so professional volunteer.
Well, my name is Rod Spear, and I grew up in Mishawaka, but about 40 years ago when I got out of school, we left the area, and I like to tell people I never left Mishawaka because of the weather. I left because I needed a job. But 40 years later, we decided to move back, and we wanted to get reconnected with the community, and this was an opportunity to do that.
I was a member of the board of the Friends of the Snite Museum, and I saw that there was a call for docents. And I felt as if, even though I was a member of the board, I feel like I didn't really know the museum as well as I should have. And so I thought this was a good opportunity for me to know the Snite better, and obviously the South Bend Museum of Art. It's kind of embarrassing to say I grew up here my whole life, but I didn't really know either of those museums very well. So I thought this was a good opportunity to get to know the museums and, you know, obviously to work with children. So it's fun.
My wife and I were able to travel an awful lot, and even though we don't have any personal, at least I don't have any personal talent in art, we certainly always appreciated it, and we got a chance to see a lot of museums, and we thought, well, you know, we need to have the opportunity to maybe get reconnected with the community, but also have the opportunity to visit a couple of new museums that we weren't familiar with, such as the South Bend Museum of Art.
2 of my children are in college and 1's in high school, and I miss that whole grade school experience. I loved being a room parent and, you know, volunteering at the schools, and this kind of gets me back with those little ones, which I personally enjoy, and they're awesome. They're awesome. I just didn't know if I would ever know enough or be able to be confident enough to stand and talk about pieces of art, but we have a great educational program that we go through. It's very intensive, but in a good way. I learned a lot, and so that was my biggest fear, I think, other than that, maybe just standing up in front of people, but I'm getting better at that too.
Well, you know, I can't really say I was uncomfortable or concerned about it. The thing that was kind of concern a little bit was the fact that we are docents with elementary and high school kids. And I had thought before I started this endeavor that it would be primarily to other adults, which is what I was kind of used to. So if there was any apprehension at all, it was just, are you going to be able to communicate with kids since you were never a teacher, as an example?
We had a tour at the Snite, and it was, I think, 2nd graders, and we generally gather in the atrium and then we break into smaller groups, and so we broke into our smaller group, and this little girl came up to me the moment we set up our small groups. She grabs my hand, which none of the children had ever done before. She grabs my hand, she walked, we were going to the 2nd floor, so she held my hand all the way up the stairs. I had a long necklace on, and so we started in front of a piece of sculpture, and she holds onto my necklace and plays with my necklace and stood next to me the entire time. You just knew she was one of those children who just either needed a little more attention or that she didn't necessarily, wasn't a participator, but the moment she stood there the entire time and moved with me and played with my necklace and held my hand, she was attentive, she participated. It was great. She had a quiet little voice, but she wanted to be a part of it all. And I just think about that all the time. That's one of my favorites.
I think probably one of the greatest tours I ever did in terms of my pleasure was I was able to tour the Mishawaka High School class, and the chaperone for that class was actually the principal of the high school. And so talked about wanting to reconnect with the community. Here I am giving a docent tour to incoming freshmen at Mishawaka. So that was kind of special, you know, just to, again, get the feeling you're really starting to get yourself back into the community.
I have discovered that I'm a little more confident than I thought I was. I'm not one to stand up and talk, and yet here I am doing this. But even though they're little ones, and I probably know a little more than they do, I still get nervous, and I think, oh, can I do this? Can I do this? But I can. And I learned that every time I go into another situation. Sometimes we have to do a tour. We don't have to. We get to choose the tours that we want to do. But just a few weeks ago, I did a tour on African art. I didn't really know much about it, but I educated myself. I felt so good when I was done because they were engaged and I was engaged, and we were, talking off of one another, and so I've got a little more self-confidence, I guess you would say.
Well, I think probably the best thing was I actually communicate with kids. You do it with your own children, but you don't know if you can actually do it with a group of kids. And I think I'm still challenged by second, third graders, but by the time I feel a lot more comfortable in fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, on into high school. But that I think is not only challenging, but it's fun, and I found that it really is kind of neat to get them interested and hold their attention and try to bring up points that will keep them excited about art.
I think that the one word that I would use to describe my experience as a docent has certainly been rewarding and educational. Both of those things. I've gotten an experience. I feel as if I'm helping to educate, and it is exceptionally rewarding to see those little smiling faces who might not be that excited to come to an art museum, but by the time they leave, they were excited and they had a good time. And that's what's important.
You will be well trained by the time you ever have to set foot into the museum, either one, and actually give a tour. The training you'll find very good, a lot of role playing. You get the opportunity to listen to different approaches to how to relate to the different age groups. So I think you can feel really comfortable that by the time you've completed your training, you'll be ready to handle the tours. And naturally, if you're as smart as the average sixth grader, you're going to do great anyway. So, but more importantly, you'll enjoy it, and the kids will appreciate what you're doing for them.